Hello, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. And a happy Monday to all of our friends out there. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. My name is David Huffman I'm the host here from Prime Sports World. Also joined from the Daily Blitz blog, our good friend and brother, Mr. Christian Simpson. Welcome to the show. Happy Monday, my friend. I know Monday Evening Quarterback is either already went live or about to go live. But how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good, man. It's another Monday. Yes, the newest episode of Monday Evening Quarterback is up. And David, I need you to be a phone caller again. You know what I say, the doors at MEQ are always open. I got furniture now, so you can kick your feet up and relax.
Man, we'll try to swing that this Sunday. We'll try
Absolutely.
to make that work on Sunday.
And I'm holding you to that.
We'll record that on Sunday.
Absolutely.
But let's talk about recap of week number 13 of the action-packed week in the NFL. Actually, a lot of clunker games this weekend. A couple real clunker games. But we did have some barn burners, including Thursday Night Football, probably the best Thursday Night Football game ever, maybe potentially since Amazon Prime's taken this over. Dallas Cowboys beat Seattle 41-35. Geno Smith 3 touchdowns to his wonders. Dak Prescott continues what might be an MVP campaign, throwing 3 touchdowns. Zach Charbonnet and Geno Smith both had rushing touchdowns. DK Metcalf lit it up. He also lit up Deron Bland a lot in this game. 6 catches for 134 yards and 3, a hat trick, a touchdown. On the other side, Dallas, Tony Pollard had a touchdown, and CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, and Brandon Cooks all had touchdowns for the Dallas Cowboys. This was an absolute gem of a football game.
Yeah, I like what I'm seeing from the Dallas Cowboys, especially on the offensive side of the ball, because they're not having Dak do too much, nor are they having him do too little. He's just right in between, in the middle. The offensive line is holding up. But how about the emergence of CeeDee Lamb, David? I mean, he's having a stellar season because there were those question marks about him coming into the year. Oh, could he be wide receiver number 1? And I think he's shown that. But I think the most important player to this Cowboys offense is Brandon Cooks, because Dak has never had a receiver that can stretch the field vertically. And that's what Brandon provides. And on top of that, Brandon's a veteran at this point. He's kind of like an Emmanuel Sanders at this point in his career. He's not going to be the number 1. He's going to be that number 2 or that number 3 option. And he just knows his role, and he's that veteran presence in the locker room. In Seattle, they're starting to fizzle out a little bit. I mean, you see how important Kenneth Walker III is to this offense, because they really can't get much going. But DK Metcalf, he was a grown man on Thursday night. And can we cool it with the Deron Bland Defensive Player of the Year talk? He got cooked like fried rice, like TJ told me.
He did get cooked in this game kind of a lot. He got a bad pass interference call in the end zone on Jackson Smith-Njigba that led to a touchdown as well. He didn't. This is not actually going to be one that he's going to put a feather in his cap there. Geno Smith, I wonder what the swing of this game would have been if Tyler Lockett had caught that pass. I think it was on 3rd down or 4th down there towards the end of the game. Hits him right in the hands. They ended up having to punt that football. He catches that there in field goal range. This game may be a different conversation, but this is the perseverance of a Dallas Cowboys team. This is a game last year. Maybe they don't come back from. Maybe they don't win. This is like what I've seen out of Dallas so far. Welcome in TJ Hopkins to the show, my co-host. Real quick, you want to weigh into Dallas, Seattle before we move into Sunday?
Better than I expected. I think Seattle came in. They caught Dallas off guard for a bit. They attacked Deron Bland for most of the night. Now, he came back to bite them a little bit, but before that interception, he gave Christian 9 for just over, like a little bit over 100 yards, and DK burnt him for a touchdown. But Dallas did the damn thing. Like they handled business, sets up an all important matchup for next week, which we'll get into tomorrow. This is what it was better than I anticipated.
I was saying this is probably the best Thursday night football since Amazon Prime has taken over broadcasting those games. Moving into Sunday, we got the battle in the AFC South where the Indianapolis Colts beat the Tennessee Titans in their own building in overtime. As Minshew mania continues there for the Indianapolis Colts, as they're now 7-5. Gardner Minshew, 312 yards, 2 touchdowns. Will Levis had 224 yards and a touchdown. Derrick Henry showed that he's the king. 21 carries for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns. He did lead this game, I think, in the concussion protocol. Not sure what his status is going to be for next week. Zach Moss started this game for Jonathan Taylor. He's going to miss a few weeks. He had 51 yards rushing. Michael Pittman Jr. was a problem in this game. 11 catches and a touchdown. Alex Pierce, also a problem with the touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins continues to be probably going to be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. 75 yards and a touchdown as they just come up just short. And they also, in order to take the lead, they lose their punter in this game. By the way, if you haven't seen the injury, gruesome, do not watch if you're a faint of heart. But Ryan Tannehill ends up having to come in to catch the extra point, right, and be the placeholder. That process was clunky. Tennessee's unable to take the lead because of that. Indianapolis Colts ended up winning in overtime.
Yeah, and Tennessee killed themselves in the special teams aspect. I mean, whenever you want to be successful in each phase of the game, you have to be consistent on offense, you got to be consistent on defense, and you got to be solid in special teams. And the Colts blocked 2 punts, and this is a gritty win for the Colts. And this is a team.
They only technically listed one of those as a block. They listed the other one as a fumble, but that's just yes.
Yeah, I mean, officials don't know how to get us together. Oh, we'll talk about that.
We will talk about
we will talk about that because I got something to say. I don't know about you, TJ, but I got to come to the pulpit.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, staying on track here. This is a good win for Indianapolis. Go into Tennessee, pretty tough place to play, pull out a victory. Derrick Henry has a great game, and he's still able to overcome it. I wonder what would happen if he hadn't gotten injured in this game because he was cooking. But Gardner Minshew pulls the rabbit out of the hat as he always seems to do. Gets the final touchdown in overtime.
And that's the thing about the Colts. They don't go away. Like, they're battle-tested. I like what Shane Steichen is doing out there in Indianapolis. Finally, this is a coach that it just seems like these players are responding to. Because I don't think, look, David, TJ, you guys might agree with me when I say this. If that's Frank Reich there, the Colts lose this game.
I mean, I think that's a little.
I can't even say that. I think that's unfair.
I think that's unfair. I mean, when Frank Wright had Phillip Rivers, I mean, they were a game away from going to the AFC Championship game.
Hell, when he had Carson Wentz, they were still decent. I just think I think this is what happens when messy ownership finally shuts the hell up, and Jim Irsay been relatively quiet.
Except for that crazy nonsense he was talking about being a white billionaire and getting that rest. I'm not even gonna signify that shit with a response. But outside of the Jonathan Taylor stuff, which happened in the off season, right? Since the season started, you ain't heard a peep out of Jim Irsay outside of what David just brought up, and that's not even football related. That's true. Right?
So you got that. You got ownership staying out of the way for the most part, and on top of that, you have a young coach, a first-time head coach with a mostly veteran squad. Minshew's been here. Jonathan Taylor's been here. DeForest Buckner's been here, right? Like he has a older team that knows how to adjust and knows how to respond. Like the exception to the rule is what's going on down in Houston. Rookie head coach with a mostly young team. Right, we don't really see, you don't see that all too often. This right here, Christian, speaks to the resiliency more so from the players than from the coaching staff itself.
Yeah. But yeah, moving on from this game, let's talk about the battle of whatever you want to call whatever happened at Foxborough yesterday. As the Chargers go in there, they win this game 6-0. There was not a touchdown even scored in this game. All field goals. Chargers win a game that was ugly and messy, a game that keep their season alive, and New England, they just kind of fall further into this dark abyss that is this season. Bailey Zappi was not the remedy to fix this offense, and this is a Chargers defense that had been giving up points left and right. You couldn't even get a field goal in this game against.
Could barely get a first down from what it looked like. My God, this made who was I talking to? I was talking to another group of friends, and when I was reading out the scores on Sunday, and I got to this, and I said, yeah, it's 6-0 with 2 minutes and 48 seconds left, and they was like in the fourth. I'm like, yeah. They was like, yo, this makes that Monday night game between the Bears and the Vikings look exhilarating.
Yeah, right.
It looks high scoring, bro. Like, and this was terrible, and I just don't get how high powered offense like the Chargers, because they can be high powered, bro. Like, you only mustered up 6 points. Was there more drops this game or something? Like, was
Yeah, I mean, this New England defense can be stout at times, but yeah, they haven't been this season. They didn't run the ball particularly well, 1.2 yards per carry. I mean, they just didn't do anything well on offense. And
was it the weather? Like, was weather a factor?
I mean, you don't have Joshua Palmer, your number 2 wide receiver. You don't have Mike Williams, and like they just haven't really adjusted to a life without Mike Williams this season. And Keenan Allen had 5 catches. Normally you see him catch more than 10. I mean, only had 9 targets in this game.
Like, don't get me wrong. I understand, like, Quentin Johnston has been, quote unquote, a bit of a disappointment for them this season, and obviously, like, yeah, it's just like the game of basketball. Like, not every rookie hits the ground running out the gate like that. It takes a minute. And Quentin Johnston, unfortunately, is falling into that it takes a minute crowd. People don't want to hear that because this is a first round pick, but it takes a minute. Like, he had the same amount of catches as Keenan Allen. He had 5 for 52 on 7 targets. I don't know if he had any drops, because that's been a bit of an issue for him this season. But on the flip side, on the New England side, like, it's just more and more. Bill got to go. The coaching staff got to go. You got to start over. You got to do this. You got to do that. Whichever quarterback they won't, pick your poison, because whether it's Caleb Williams, whether it's Drake May, whether it's Michael Penix Jr., Jaden Daniels, Christian, who am I forgetting? Because I know I'm forgetting a big name out there somewhere.
Sam Hartman. With his old.
I mean, he's going to be 25 by the time he gets, like, when he's draft eligible. Like,
yeah, you got Sam Hartman. You got I'm missing another one. I know I am, but it's not important. I don't know what New England has to do, but whatever it is, they better figure it out fast, because, again, Bill Belichick's record without Brady is just proving more and more who the anchor of that ship was, and he ain't coming back no time soon.
Moving on from this game, we're going to swing into the NFC, and we got the Detroit Lions going into the Superdome there in New Orleans and winning 33-28. They were up 21-0 at the end of the first quarter. New Orleans at least came back and made things semi-interesting. Had an opportunity really to kind of maybe put themselves back into this game a little bit more. Jared Goff, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Dave Montgomery, Jameson Williams all had rushing touchdowns, and Sam Laporta and the Sun God, Amon-Ra St. Brown, all had receiving touchdowns for the Detroit Lions. On the New Orleans side of this has really become, if Alvin Kamara is not excellent in this game, they just can't compete with other teams in the NFL. Derek Carr, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara combined for 3 rushing touchdowns. Chris Olave went over the century mark for, I think, the 3rd time this season, as he had 119 yards receiving. This is just kind of one of those, like, we never know what we're going to get out of the New Orleans Saints from a game-to-game basis, and what we've seen out of them has been wildly inconsistent.
Yeah, it really has been. They've been such a weird football team this year. And it just seemed like every time Jameis Winston comes in, he gives this entire group a spark. And David, you and I have this. What'd you say?
It's not just him, though. Like, go ahead, make your point. I'll elaborate. Go ahead.
And David, we talk about this all the time, man. Dennis Allen is not the right guy for this job. I'm gonna keep saying it until they fire him. As far as the Lions, yeah, you got out to that fast start, then you kind of let your foot off the gas, and you got complacent. You let the Saints come back into this game, and there are a few people. TJ will know where I'm going with this, who say the Lions are the best team in the NFC, but not these last 3 weeks. Not what I've seen, because you had to come back from 12 against the Bears. You looked like trash against Green Bay. And then you almost lost this game yesterday.
A 21-point lead to the Saints.
21-point lead.
But they don't care. They don't care about that, man. Like in those 3 games, you went 2-1. That's what Lions fans care about. And this is a fan base that's been just waiting for a decent product on the field, and they finally got it. They don't care how they win as long as they win, right? To your point about Jameis Winston providing that spark, it's not just him. It's like Taysom Hill provides a spark to this team. Mm-hmm. And there was when they were down 21 and they ran a little toss play to Taysom Hill and he got like 8 yards. Saints fans were booing. Like they booed the play call. And the commentators are like, why are they booing that? That's the only thing that's worked for them so far.
Man, I think that they were booing because Derek Carr was coming back in the game. Because after the play, they got 80 yards, and then Taysom Hill came out, and it seemed like I watched this game live. I watched the play you're talking about live. They booed. I think they booed because Derek Carr was coming back in the game, and they were taking out Taysom Hill.
It could be that. It could be what I said. Like it's just like you said, Christian. Like you were down 21. You managed to fight back, and then right when it was it was still a 1-score game. But it was, what was it? I think it was 21. It was 28-21. Or what was it when what was the score when they right before they scored on the reverse? Oh yeah, it was 27-21. It was 27-21, right? It's like 14 minutes, 14 and some change left in the at the fourth. You're driving, you're threatening, like you got all the momentum, and then what happens? Fumble. Turnover. You give Detroit a short field. Woo wop the bam. They score on a 19-yard reverse to Jameson Williams. Now they missed a block on the back and on that reverse, but the blocking the back penalty is what, 5 yards at the least, 10 maybe.
Yeah.
They still
I think it's 5.
5. They still get So like you knock them back 5 yards. That you somehow hold them to a field goal. That's still 30-21. That's probably still, insurmountable for this Saints offense, right? Like a field goal still would have put it out of reach for them. And they did and like it was one of those situations like where they just ran out of time. They needed a stop, they didn't get it. It was 33-28 because you scored with 7:30 left. That's more than enough time to get a stop and get the ball back and go down and score. That's more than enough time.
Moving on from this game, let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons and the New York Jets very briefly. Desmond Ridder threw a touchdown. He did not throw a pick in this game. Maybe his first turnover-free game. Oh no, he did lose a fumble. Never mind. No, he said never mind. No, it was his first turnover-free game that he's been a starting quarterback at the Atlanta Falcons. Tim Boyle got benched finally after he threw a terrible interception. Trevor Siemian came in and fumbled the ball 3 times, lost one of them. Dalvin Cook fumbled 1 time. This is just a bad offensive game. The Falcons win 13-8. This was one point of this game that was like 5-12, 5-2 was the score of this game. Like I don't even know how that's even remotely possible.
Some safeties had to be gotten because you already know how the Jets got they 2. They got a safety. Wait, I can pull it up. Let's see. Bijan Robinson tackled in the end zone for a safety, 2-0. Then
I'm sorry. It was
7-5.
7-5. Sorry, it was never 5-2, but it was 0-2 for a long, long time in this game. At halftime, it was 10-5. Yeah. So, but the Atlanta Falcons won a gritty, messy game. The New York Jets are just a mess. I'm not sure what else really needs to be said.
I mean, obviously, like Jets fans are holding on to that caveat. Hey, if Rodgers was playing, it wouldn't be this bad, and you can have that sentiment all you want. Right, that's your right, because to a certain extent, they may be right. Like if Aaron Rodgers is playing,
we have no way of knowing because he played so little.
I said they could be right, but if Aaron Rodgers is playing, they may not be 4-8. Right, they could be 8-4. They could be whatever, but we'll never know because, like David said, he only played 2 snaps for you before 4 snaps, whatever, before he got hurt. All I'm saying, all I got to say on this one, and Christian, you can go if you want to. Is Zach? A statement came out today that said Zach Wilson is not too keen on returning back to the starting lineup. And if I'm him, I don't want him.
You want to roll out Tim Boyle?
You want to roll out Tim Boyle? Roll out Tim Boyle. Have fun. Lie in the bed you made.
Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. I'm just moving on. Moving on from this game, we got one of the biggest shockers of the day. Arizona goes into Pittsburgh and wins this game handily, 24-10. This is kind of a sloppy, messy game. Kenny Pickett goes out. I think he broke an ankle. He has to have surgery. His season is probably done. But Najee Harris, 63 yards on the ground. George Pickens, 4 for 86. Deontay Johnson made amends for last week, got a touchdown this week. Trey McBride continues his really strong second year there for the Arizona Cardinals. 8 catches for 89 yards. This was not an entertaining game to watch. Arizona won 24-10. Mitch Trubisky came in through the lone touchdown for Pittsburgh, the lone touchdown in general for this team. As the Arizona wins this game, a bit of a shocker, 24-10.
Yeah, this surprised me. I just saw the Steelers quit. They gave up. And it seems like every time the Steelers lose games, I see it on Twitter. We need to part ways with Mike Tomlin, and then I respond with a question to them. Oh, okay. Well,
who's better?
Fire him. Who you getting that's better than him?
I mean, unless Jesus Christ himself is going to start coaching the NFL, I don't know who else you're going to get.
Something, because man.
Man, this was a game that was. I don't know what's going on with the weather out east, but they had like 3 delays. They had like 3 weather delays.
Yeah, this game was not even in the third quarter when all the other games were over.
Like Jesus Christ, I'm like, and like usually like we see a team that when they get hit with games that get hit with delays, the team that's usually rolling, they stumble and back out the gate, and the team that was reeling, they get momentum and do what they do. No, not this go round. Kenny Pickett, I don't know the extent of the ankle injury, David. I got to look that up.
I do believe he needs to have surgery. I do believe his season is over.
Until they say otherwise. Like like I said, I ain't heard nothing. Like I thought he got benched.
So he had surgery for a high ankle sprain.
Today?
Today.
Yeah, he's done.
He missed multiple weeks, so I don't imagine he'll be back this season.
Yeah, no. High ankle sprains are tough to come back from without surgery. So if he had a high ankle sprain and he needed surgery, that means he broke something. Something's broken. Because usually, either one, like something broke, something tore. Yeah, surgery. Because if it's just a regular high ankle sprain, they rice it, rest ice, compress, elevate, whatever. The Cardinals this is one of those teams. The Cardinals, like obviously they in the market for a high draft pick, right? They got their own quarterback controversy, and it's not being talked about enough like it is here in Chicago. The Cardinals they could move off of Kyler Murray too. Yeah, that's not being talked about enough. But this is one of those.
Kyler Murray didn't play the first half of the season, so
doesn't matter. They were talking about getting rid of him last. They were still talking about moving off of him because they paid them all this money and he can't stay healthy.
Yeah. Well, I think they're hoping that he has a strong finish to the season. But yeah, this was a pretty shocking result. Hopefully Kenny Pickett can get back and be healthy. He was doing some decent stuff before he got hurt. So hopefully he can bounce back next season.
I'll say this though. Like this just goes to show you that no matter how bad a team is, they want to win. They don't care about draft status. They don't care about that top pick. Those dudes in Arizona want to win. Those dudes in Chicago want to win. They want to win.
Yeah, the Bears are going to the Super Bowl. Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on from this game, let's talk about the beatdown on Sunday. As nobody told the Washington Commanders, hey, maybe we should double cover Tyreek Hill. Maybe we should blanket cover him. Like we shouldn't let him go off for 157 yards and have a 78-yard touchdown and 2 touchdowns. As Tua Tagovailoa was excellent in this game again. He did throw for 2 touchdowns. He had 6 incompletions the entire game. Sam Howell threw a pick. He did have a rushing touchdown, actually 2 rushing touchdowns. Curtis Samuel, reading receiver for the Washington Commanders. Brian Robinson left this game with an injury. I do not remember if he returned or not. Hopefully he's doing okay. And Devin A-Chain returned from injury, 2 touchdowns for him. And Holster leads the NFL in rushing, has another one in this game as Miami goes up big, 45-15. This game was never close.
Tyreek Hill is my MVP.
Facts.
What he's doing this year. I mean, look, the minute he records that 2,000 yard,
write his name.
Look, TJ, he getting MVP and offensive player. Yep.
And they better not schmig him. And they better not schmig him. Because not one quarterback has separated themselves in that conversation. I don't want to hear Jalen Hurts for MVP. Dude got 19 touchdown passes and like 11 interceptions.
Yeah.
That's not MVP. I don't care that his team.
TJ, you better talk to him. Swift.
I don't.
Two white men.
Swift God and two white men.
You need to stop.
But yeah, Washington is like, I don't get Washington. Like, they talk about confusing teams, Christian. You give the Eagles all they could handle twice.
But you can't do that to the Dolphins.
You give the Eagles all they can handle twice. But you look like you don't belong against Dallas. You look like you don't belong against Miami. That's confusing.
And you lost twice to the Giants.
And you lost to the Giants.
That was supposed to happen.
Twice.
That was supposed to happen.
You remember when we did our season preview episode? Izzy thought that the Giants were going to win like 11 games this year.
Oh, God. Oh, so he's the reason why the Giants are so... Yeah, Izzy got to talk.
Moving on. Let's just move on to the Houston Texans. They snapped the 5-game winning streak of the Denver Broncos as Russell Wilson was abysmal in this game. Threw 3 interceptions. He did throw a touchdown to Cortland Sutton, who's having a really solid season for the Denver Broncos. CJ Stroud continues his strong rookie campaign, threw 1 touchdown to 0 interceptions. He did have 9 incompletions. Damian Pierce gets back into the end zone. I think it might be his first touchdown of the year because he has been not good this year at all. Nico Collins had a touchdown in this game. Thoughts and prayers out to Tank Dell, who broke his fibula in this game. Was having a very strong rookie season.
He got it broken for him because that Damian Pierce touchdown he got rolled up on by either
way. Broke a fibula, season over. Was having a very strong rookie season. May have won Offensive Rookie of the Year. Probably still deserves a win in anyways. He's put up historic numbers at the wide receiver position, especially for the Houston Texans. But yeah, they win the game. They win another. They're in the playoff hunt, 7-5. If the playoffs were to start today, they'd be the 6th seed.
Man, I was talking to TJ during this game yesterday, and TJ wasn't I singing a song? Wasn't I singing a song yesterday?
The Russell Wilson song?
Yeah.
His name was Russell, last name Wilson, and he disappointed me yesterday. I was even telling my mama. I said, "Look, Ma, Russell been killing, and when he does well, I sing the song." And then, literally 2 plays later, he throws an awful interception in the red zone, which pretty much called game for the Houston Texans. This is a huge win for the Houston Texans. The Texans are a battle-tested team. I mean, they're gritty. They don't go away. I mean, they're tough. But Nico Ryans has this team headed in the right direction. Get some more dogs, and I think it's going to be a 1-2 race between them and Jacksonville, AFC South. Next couple years.
It's crazy to think that we may have 3 teams from the AFC South in the playoffs when it's all said and done.
Yeah,
like nobody could have seen that coming when the season started.
Yeah, because nobody gonna remember the Titans. See what I did there?
I like it.
Yeah.
TJ,
it's the same team mostly from last year. You just incorporate CJ Stroud and Tank Dell and a few more pieces. Jimmy Ward on defense.
Devin Singletary at the running back position has been solid for them too.
This Texans, folks forget this Texans team was scrappy last year. They were scrappy last season. They just the only difference is games they won this year they would have lost last year, and they did lose last year. And if they probably would have lost them this year if CJ Stroud ain't that quarterback and they decide to stick with Davis Mills.
Man, they should be thanking Lovie Smith for winning that game. Man, they were all cursing Lovie Smith out, but look at you now.
Yeah, it was that last play. It was clear that the Broncos were not on the same page. You had the trio, the trio receivers. They're looking to the line. One guy threw his hands up like, "Yo, what are we doing? Like, what's the call?" I didn't hear anything. The linemen, like, they were all over the place. You flush Russell Wilson out the pocket, and then to Christian's point, he throws a game-ending interception, which, yeah, it sucks but that whole drive, Russell was Denver, like Houston just goes like, "Hey, we got him. But then Russ just like, "Yeah, nope. I'm going to scramble for this first down, and I'm going to keep this thing alive." it's kind of like what I said a couple years ago. I'm like, he has to be the most annoying player to play against. He's back in that conversation where it's like you think, yeah, it's like you think you got him, and it's like, God damn it! Like he's just so frustrated. Like when he moving like that, and he doing what he doing like that, it's just like, God damn, bro. Like it's like, can you go away? Like I'm doing all this. It's like that fight. It's like that one fight. It's like you hit him and you knock him down. It's like, hey, stay down, and he just keeps getting back up. It's like, God damn it, I told you to stay down. Like that's what it took.
Moving on from this game, we're going to swing into the NFC South. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers keeping their season alive with their slim playoff hopes there. They beat the Carolina Panthers 21-18. Bryce Young, 15 of 31, 178 yards and a pick. Juba Hubbard got to Paydar 2 times. Jonathan Mingo, the rookie wide receiver, 6 for 69. Baker Mayfield, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Rashad White and Chris Godwin both had rushing touchdowns. And Mike Evans had another touchdown in this game, including a 75-yard scamper score, 7 catches for 169 yards as Tampa Bay wins this game at home. A game they had to win to keep their season alive.
10. You how you gonna bury the lead, David? How you gonna bury the lead? 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons for that man. How you gonna bury the lead?
Listen. Get his goal ready.
Yeah,
Yesterday, to me, put him in the Hall of Fame.
10 straight.
10 straight?
10 straight.
That's every year of your career. Some of the greats, I don't think even did that.
And what's crazy is he entered the game with like 850 receiving yards on the season and got one and he got 194 to get over 1,000.
I've been saying it all year. It doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball.
Like
he's gonna make catches. I mean, remember he was catching passes from god awful Mike Lennon.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Josh, whatever his name was.
Freeman.
Josh Freeman was the one that touchdown was at one point.
Jameis Winston.
JMO for a bulk of those. It goes back to what Antonio Pierce said about Devontae Adams. Like, I don't care who's throwing him the ball. I'm smart enough to know to tell the quarterback to get him the ball. Whoever's playing quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 13, you getting the ball. I don't care how bad I am. I'm smart enough to know I got to throw it to you. Plain and simple. And shout out to the Buccaneers defense for thank y'all. Hey, we need that number 1 overall pick. Thank you. Thank you.
I don't think there's so much more to really be said there. Let's talk about moving on from this game. Los Angeles Rams beat go to SoFi Stadium, and they beat the Cleveland Browns 36-19. Wacko for Flacco threw 2 touchdowns and a pick. Kareem Hunt was the leading rusher for the Cleveland Browns, and Elijah Moore was the leading receiver. Harrison Bryant and Jerome Ford had the receiving touchdowns for the Cleveland Browns. Matthew Stafford put one of those virtuoso games up there. 3 touchdowns for him in this game, including a 70-yard touchdown to Puka Nacua. Kyron Williams also had a touchdown. So did Demarcus Robinson, and so did Cooper freaking Kupp as they win this game 36-19. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It just sucks. It sucks what's going on in Cleveland. It sucks.
Yeah, I think Cleveland's cursed.
Sucks.
When you sell your soul for Deshaun Watson, this is what you get.
They're cursed.
It sucks. It's just they quarterback carousel is probably just as bad, if not worse, than what's going on here in Chicago.
Oh, it's way worse.
Think so? Think so?
Yeah, at least we had a few seasons where Jay Cutler was like a steady force there for 5 seasons or whatever.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah, they never had anything close to a Jay Cutler at any point in history.
You're right. It's just, and especially now since they've been, relatively good. That's always been the one thing that's been holding them back. Like the definition of a quarterback away is the Cleveland Browns. It's just,
they thought they had Deshaun Watson, but he can't stay healthy or stay out of trouble. So they laid their bed. They made their bed. Now they got to lay in it.
It's just, it sucks. I don't know what else you to say. It sucks.
Moving on from this game, probably the game of the weekend. We had the San Francisco 49ers go into Lincoln Financial Field, home of the Philadelphia Eagles, and put a beat down on the Philadelphia Eagles, 42-19. Brock Purdy threw 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Chris McCaffrey got on the end zone. Deebo Samuel had a hat trick of touchdowns in this game, 1 on the ground and 2 in the air. Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, all got in on the fun. On the other side, Jalen Hurts was banged up a little bit in this game. I think concussion protocol. He got out of that so quick. I've never seen that player go to the locker room for concussion protocol. 10 minutes later, you're back on the football field. He threw a touchdown. Marcus Mariota played 3 snaps in this game. Jalen Hurts also had a rushing touchdown on the tush push, or whatever they're calling it there in Philadelphia. Devontae Smith caught. Thank you. Devontae Smith caught the lone receiving touchdown for the Eagles. A.J. Brown went over the century mark again after missing it 2 straight weeks.
This is the best win of the year for the San Francisco 49ers. You can't sit here and tell me they didn't have this game circled on their calendar.
Absolutely.
When the schedule
for sure. They already 100% did.
Look, when you wear black Air Force Ones, it's about to get real.
You want
right,
big.
TJ?
Black Air Force Ones and black Tims. Them the 2 shoes to look out for.
I swear. I promise you. Okay, so I'm going to make a comparison here. I said this to Izzy for college football. And TJ will know where I'm going with this. Alabama and Texas, 2022, right? Texas they're rolling down the field. Quinn Ewers gets hurt. Alabama wins. Texas and Alabama play each other this year. Quinn Ewers is healthy for 4 quarters. Texas beats him, right? Brock Purdy gets hurt in that NFC Championship game, and the wheels just came off the entire all the way off. Yesterday, he's healthy for 4 quarters, and you see the difference. But how about Deebo Samuel? I mean, he just imposed his will. He said if there was one team he hated most than anybody in the league, it's the Philadelphia Eagles, and he was trolling those Eagle fans all game long. I just love the adjustments that San Francisco made because they were a little too pass happy in the first quarter, and then they got back to their identity. Run the football. We're going to get ugly in the trenches, and we're going to beat you off the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. I think this is a wake-up call for the Philadelphia Eagles because they've been teeter-tottering about the last month or so. We could be saying they should have had a loss against Dallas, should have had a loss against Kansas City, and if we're being, Washington, 2 losses against Washington, and they should have lost to Buffalo. Thank you. So, this is a huge win for the San Francisco 49ers. I honestly think they're the best team in the league.
Sends a message.
Bingo.
Sends a message. They were kind of written off. The 49ers did when they went on that little 3-game losing streak with no Trent Brown, with no Deebo, and a banged up Christian McCaffrey. Right? All those guys come back, and it's almost like, hey, we finna pick up right where we left off, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. AJ Brown did what AJ Brown does, right? We saw that. But Deebo Samuel said, hold my beer. Right? That he said hold my beer. And I love that he did because who did AJ Brown tell Philly fans to troll? Deebo. He told Philly fans, hey, y'all got my permission, as if they really needed it, to troll Deebo Samuel. And Deebo Samuel said, you want something done, do it yourself. AKA shut up.
Since that 3-game losing streak for the Cincinnati Bengals, after that game, they beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, a playoff team, 34-3. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a playoff team last year, 27-14. They beat Seattle, a playoff team last year, 31-13. The Eagles, the number 1 seed in the NFC at the time, 42-19. They've just absolutely beat the living hell out of all the teams that they played, and they're just winning games by insane margins.
And not to mention what they did. Not to mention what they did to Dallas, 42-10.
Yeah,
they beat the Cardinals 35-6. I mean, they got to have the highest point differential in the NFL right now.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I'm so impressed with them because TJ, what do I always say? about the 49ers and how you beat them. What
You
don't
gotta
like
bully,
it?
you gotta bully the bully.
The bully don't like to be bullied. Plain and simple. And when San Francisco gets off to a quick start, they don't let up. Look, this is gonna be a tough out in January.
Oh hell yeah. And Fox, I don't give a damn about Philly security guard. I should not know that man's first name. I shouldn't know who he is, right? But this is what happens when you want to be a part of the game. All right, now you're a part of the game. Right? Oh, he was just doing his job. No, he wasn't. He did not have to put his hands on Drake Greenlaw because Drake Greenlaw don't touch him if he don't touch him first.
Yeah.
What are you security for what? Like you're not security. Like the players have a right to be like. Anyways, I'll just move on.
I'm not finna call him what I called him in the group chat because that would get us severely canceled.
Moving on to we're gonna move on to Sunday Night Football, and most of the controversy lies. We have the Green Bay Packers welcome in the Kansas City Chiefs into Lambeau Field, and they pull out the 8-point victory, 27-19. Patrick Mahomes, pretty pedestrian game for Patrick Mahomes. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He did have 12 incompletions. Isaiah Pacheco had a solid game here. I felt like Kansas City should have ran the ball even more with him in this game. 18 for 110 and a touchdown, averaged 6.1 yards a clip. He did get ejected in this game towards the very, very end. Travis Kelce had the most receiving yards, 4 for 81. Noah Gray caught the 1 touchdown from Patrick Mahomes. Jordan Love continues 3 games in a row with really strong play. 25-36, 3 touchdowns. A.J. Dillon, 73 yards. And Christian Watson had 2 touchdowns. Ben Sims had a touchdown. Romeo Dobbs and Christian Watson caught crazy passes in this game. 1 on 4th down, and the Christian Watson touchdown in the end zone. Hopefully his injury is nothing serious. I have not looked at what it is. I think it's a hamstring, but don't quote me on that. But everybody wants to talk about the final drive of this game for the Kansas City Chiefs. First, the unnecessary roughness call on what is it?
Jonathan Owens.
Thank you very much. Jonathan Owens. Patrick Mahomes clearly not out of bounds, not illegal. They also want to talk about the play where MVS, they rule him out of bounds, but his forward progress was clearly still in the field of play. That basically saved Kansas City multiple seconds, not having to clock the clock there, that ruled that out of bounds. And then the pass interference call on MVS, which would have changed the entire complexion of the game. We're talking about having the ball down at 1st and 10 at about the 18-yard line, 12-yard line, with 30 seconds at least or so to go in the game. Could have obviously had 3 shots at the end zone there. Just terrible officiating all around. Really blemished what was a fairly entertaining game between these two teams. Go ahead.
Yeah. As far as the game is concerned, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but Kansas City's offense let their defense down because the Chiefs' offense just couldn't get much of anything going last night. And as a defense now, when you play Kansas City, it's simple. You're doubling and you're tripling Travis Kelce. You're triple teaming him. The Chiefs got to go back to ball control. Lots of Pacheco, and then that's going to help open up the passing game because I'll be honest with you, I have not been impressed with Kansas City this year as an offense. I love what they're doing.
I was hoping Izzy would be here for this one.
Why? Oh, because who they beat? Yeah. But nah, man, this is a tough win for Green Bay. They're not going away. But as far as the officiating, that was not roughing the passer on Patrick Mahomes. I mean, David, you couldn't have described it any better. And then really, so wide receivers can have guys hovering all over them, knowing that they can't make the catch, and you're not gonna throw that flag. The Chiefs got screwed. Plain and simple.
So my thing is, like, everybody wants to like justify the no call on the PI as like the BS, like a makeup call for them calling what was it, David?
Unnecessary roughness.
Unnecessary
on the sideline.
So it's like, those
calls aren't close to the same. I mean, we're talking about 30 yards on PI as opposed to 15. And
it's not just that, David. Pacheco's penalty negated that penalty.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but Isaiah Pacheco deserved that penalty.
David. That's
through a punch. The other thing is, like, if the officials call that fumble correctly in the first place, maybe that punch never happens.
Because he was like,
he was heated because of what happened on the field, like the fumble, like it was just like one of those bubble over moments that if they get that call right in the first place, that probably doesn't happen.
Because he was down, and on that occasion, I don't mind them waiting to play it out because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to like let that play out because all turnovers and all touchdowns are reviewable. That I don't have a problem with. The issue I have is, once again, like you can't justify a no call because of a bad call. That's not how you're supposed to officiate. Like if that's the case, then they just need to get new officials all together. And it brings up Davis' point of them going to the replay office, wherever that is in New York, and be like, you basically have to officiate from there and be like, yeah, no, this is this is that, this is this, because again, the game is too advanced, the game is too progressive for human error to still be an excuse. Like, you're right there and you missed that PI call. You're right there, you're looking at it. Like, I understand not wanting to like dictate who wins or have a role in, but like, no, at the end of the day, you still got to do your job. If that's PI in the first 59 minutes of the game, don't hold your flag and bite your whistle for the last 30 seconds.
If I'm being completely honest with you, I know, like, so everything was reviewed after 2 minutes, right? Like, when we get to that point, I think that like officials should just be like out there, like, just they should have a review board reviewing every play at the end of the game. So like that, like, hey, like, let's take a look at, like, see if there's a penalty on, like, the officials are just there in body form and making calls, but like every single call as the game goes on after 2 minutes in both the end of first and second half is called by Secaucus.
Because they're like, oh, that didn't get called because they called that bogus penalty on Owens, not forgetting the fact that Pacheco's unsportsmanlike negated the yardage that they got on the Owens penalty. I'm not saying like, oh, well, he deserved that. Yes, David, that he did, but that's also not the point. His penalty negated the yardage.
And also, in my honest opinion, I think the worst call of the whole game, or of that whole sequence, I think it's the NVS ruling him out of bounds on that play. It was just, I'm not understanding how they justified that at all. Like, the fact that they didn't go back and look at that, like, you know how much time that saved Kansas City? Like, we're probably not even talking about the PI call if they got that call right in the first place.
Probably not.
Like, I'm not sure how they justified that call. You brought up a good point in the group chat. I would love to see these referees get up on and take some questions from the media. How come they just get to it? Like, every single other part of the NFL has to sit in front of the media and answer questions. Why don't they? How did you justify this no call?
Yeah, like what goes into you calling a penalty versus not calling it, and when you call it? What goes into that decision?
Yeah,
it was just bad officiating all around on both sides, and this is one of the few occasions where it's like, yeah, both teams got gypped on some stuff. The Owens penalty shouldn't have happened. It just looks bad because Pat Mahomes gave himself up, and usually defenders, when they see the quarterback giving himself up to go out of bounds, they let up because they like, that's like the universal sign of, hey, I'm giving myself up, I'm running out of bounds, I'm not gonna try to like dupe you and fight for more yards. That's why it got called. Yes, he was still in bounds, but the fact it's the equivalent to the quarterback sliding on the run. Yeah. Like, I'm clearly heading out of bounds, I'm not fighting for more yards, I'm slowing down as an indication of this is me giving myself up. Christian, that's why I think he had to mute himself because nephew was barking.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I got nothing else really to talk about. Jordan Love was fantastic in this game, and as Kristen said earlier in the show, just a few minutes ago, yeah, this Kansas City offense is really letting down this defense. They had two opportunities. They had two opportunities before that final drive to give themselves an opportunity to win this game. They they threw a pick in the first one, and they couldn't get a first down. They couldn't get a first down in the first one, and they threw a pick in the second one, a bad pick in the second one. And then third,
Pat Mahomes is Pat Mahomes is one of the few quarterbacks who gets his mistakes justified. Like, he throws that interception. You know what they were saying, David? Oh, the receiver slowed down. Like, no, it was a bad pick.
Yeah, it looked like Patrick Mahomes was reading something that wasn't there.
Izzy brought this point up when they played the Broncos and he looked bad. He's like, "Yo, is Pat Mahomes is he absolvent of criticism?" Like, no, Pat Mahomes should get criticized like everybody else. And Shannon Sharp brings this point up a lot. Outside of Travis Kelce,
I mean, another thing that I like that play before the final play of the game, where they just what was that play? Like, you have enough opportunity, you have enough time with 8 seconds left. You had enough time to take another shot in the end zone. I don't understand what was going on with that play. It was just really baffling.
And you can make an argument that they got away with a PI on the Hail Mary with the push in the back. And I hate I hate the justification of that too. Like, oh, they never call a PI on the Hail Mary call. Well, that's kind of the problem, isn't it? Like the amount of pushing and pulling and tugging you see on Hail Marys, that's also part of the problem. Like, don't stop justifying it.
Christian, final thoughts.
I just want to see how Kansas City bounces back.
Who they got next?
Buffalo next weekend.
Oh shit.
It doesn't get easier when you're the number one seed in the AFC.
No, I mean, and David, I'm glad you said that, because they had an opportunity last night with the win to get back in the driver's seat in the AFC, because they own the head-to-head tiebreaker over the Dolphins because they beat Miami. But yeah, I just need to see how they bounce back, because I think they took Green Bay a little too lightly yesterday.
A little bit. You can make that argument, but all I'm saying is the one team that's probably happy that the one team that's definitely happy that they lost. I don't know. They just playing. Their colors just happen to be black and purple. Their QB is also an MVP. Yeah, that team. That team in Baltimore is jumping for joy.
But yeah, thank you very much for joining us in our Week 3 recap show. We'll be back here tomorrow breaking down Monday Night Football. We'll also give you our predictions for week number 14. Man, it goes by quick. I'm David Huffman, your host. Right there, my co-host, Mr. TJ Hopkins from the DailyBlitz.blog. Our brother, Christian Simpson. Thank you very much for joining us. And gentlemen, what we do here at the Prime, my friends.
Man, you stole my thunder. You remember I closed it out last week.
Yeah.
Well, that's because we didn't have much to talk about that game.
But yeah, we'll be back here tomorrow. You guys all have a good night and stay safe out there. Peace out, brothers.
Yep.